Jaka, I'm so happy that you are making time for us, for me, for Lego Serious Play in this world. I am so happy that I have you in my call. We did a little talk before, but now to make it official, I'm super excited that you are here because I am really curious to all the things you have to say about flow. If I look at, for example, to your LinkedIn profile, what is for sure written there as well, you're a certified flow coach, an FRC certified flow coach. I know you already from Lego Serious Play that you have a lot of experience in that as well. This vlog is also for a lot of people that's starting in facilitation with Lego Serious Play, but I think this is also a vlog for all others that do facilitation, because how to get flow, what is flow, all these kind of things I love to talk with you about today. But let's start first. Jaka, where did you come from? Where are you from? I know you are from not the Netherlands, but tell me a little bit about yourself before we start.
So yeah, thank you, Martijn, for inviting me. I was super happy when you reached out to me, and it's super great to be here with you and discuss on this beautiful Friday here in Slovenia. So I'm based in Slovenia, just between Ljubljana and Bled. So Ljubljana in the mountains. It's a nice area. And so where am I coming from? So the background, I am officially or a sales and marketing background. So I did masters in communications, so bachelor in marketing communications, and the masters in international applied communications. And I did various sales and marketing positions in pharmaceuticals, in tech, in video production. And then at one point I got an email with an invite for the certification in Ljubljana. That was 2017, and it was Lego Serious Play. I looked at it, what it is, dive a little bit deeper into it, and it didn't took a lot when I was on the phone with my wife, not asking her if I can go or should I go, but just telling her this is something I want to do. It was one of those moments in life when you just know that you have to do something, that you're 100% sure. And after the training with Jens here in Ljubljana, another thing happened. It was just, I was so amazed about the methodology that I was sure that that's something I want to also do professionally. So I left all the sales and marketing dreams and aspirations and just started on the journey with rethink, which is the brand I at that time established, which means serious play in Slovene. It's direct translation. And I was just looking for ways to implement. So I know that some facilitators have like a toolbox, and it's like depend on what they're doing. They're using different methodologies or different tools. But then I switched, I also, it was not just me. I know that also some facilitators are focused on LSP, and I'm one of them. And then I looked at various opportunities where I could implement the methodology. And it so happens that at the moment I'm doing a lot with marketing and building brands with LSP together with Zenal and the company Valicon. But that's a part of my work. The bigger portion was at one point focused on developing the flow. So as we all know, methodology, so LSP is without content. So it's a framework. It has its benefits, but it's contentless.
Yeah.
And at one point I figured that out, that without content, the added value, it's not so substantial. And I was looking for ideas where to go. And a friend of mine introduced me to Flow, to Stephen Kotler, Jamie Wheel, and the guys who were doing not the foundational work, but maybe the foundational work with regards to tools and trainings. And again, it was something that hooked me, like LSP hooked me, then Flow hooked me, and then I'm now combining LSP with Flow. So with the aim of getting more people to know about Flow, to know their flow, to know how to get into Flow, and then using the methodology to either get their self-reflection or their team's reflection. So to, in the end, boost individual or end team flow of the team. So yeah.
Beautiful. I like the way you described that. That it starts from one thing and that you say, in LSP there's something and we need to make that even bigger and it gets more value. And for me, that was flow, and you dive into that, and that's very correlating with what I always say, that LSP is so much more than just playing with bricks. It is so much more than just that. And I like that you start scratching on that little. Well, it sounds maybe like that little thing, because there's so many things inside, and flow is a huge thing inside our work. Tell us a little bit more about that. When is something flow and when is it not? I have many books behind me, but nobody tells me this is flow.
Do you have the book Flow from Csikszentmihalyi? I don't see it.
No, I don't have it here. I'm still reading it at home.
So yeah, flow is so all the LSP facilitators know that the flow is one of the foundational theories behind LSP. So when Hans Henrik Knopf introduced flow to Robert, that's how Robert said it to me. It's like if he would not have introduced him to the concept, the LSP would not have been the same. Mm-hmm. So it is a vital part of the methodology, and also it is, I guess, a vital part also in building bricks and in the whole Lego story of creation of building stuff. There's the flow moment. So to try to describe it, so what is flow? So the basic definition is that flow is an optimal state of consciousness where you, on the one hand, feel your best, and on the other hand, you produce or you interact at your best. So it is a state of high intensity with regards to your output, but also high intensity with regards to feeling well. So if we go now, that's a technical definition. But if you try to imagine what the flow state would look like, the flow states are the ones that you are like in your own element, where you're like in the zone, there are various sports or various activities describe it in different namings, but it's the moment where you get sucked into the activity so heavily, so there's high focus involved, and you get sucked in it so hard that time passes by strangely. So a couple of hours maybe feel like 20 minutes. What happens is that you stop your inner dialogue, so you lose your sense of self due to some neurobiology in your head, and it's you cannot have a dialogue with yourself. So you don't feel yourself present. You feel effortless. So what you're doing is like you're on top of the activity. Whatever comes towards you is like, I've got this. I can do it. I'm getting better than expected results. And in the end, of course, you feel huge satisfaction after the flow state. So that's the flow. It's really important to understand. We talked it earlier. What really is flow? It's not just moments of joy. So sometimes the participants that I try to educate or I try to explain them what it is, they whenever they feel like joy, it's like, now we're in flow. Now everything seems so nice and it's fun and it's enjoyable. I think it's close to flow. We cannot say it's not flow per se, but the true flow states, or the most memorable flow states, are the ones where and then now if you go to the challenge and skill balance, which is kind of the first thing Csikszentmihalyi, the godfather of flow, figured out, is when you balance your skills to your challenge. When this gets right into the sweet spot, that's when flow happens. Yeah. And then, of course, it's a diagonal channel. So if you want to increase, if you want to come back into flow, you always need to increase your challenge, which means that you need to put yourself out of the comfort zone over and over and over again. So here's the thing. So the flow, if we're looking for the true flow states, or the deepest or the most memorable flow states, are the ones where you at one point are starting something new. You're taking on a challenge which you're not sure how's it going to work out. You have at the beginning some sense of like stage fright, or a sense of anxiety, or arousal is maybe a better word. It's a moment where you're not sure, you don't have the skills yet, because there's some learning process in front of you. You're not sure if you have the right skill set. You're a little bit aroused, so focused and high alert. So it's an intense moment, and then at one point you start to feel better than expected results. So you have the feedback. It's like, oh my, and the moment at that point you're like, oh my God, I'm doing better. I'm okay with it. It's fine. So the feedback with this, it's good. So that's the dopaministic reward loop starts to happen in your brain a couple of times. Oh, this is better than I thought. Oh, I've got this. And now the anxiety goes away. So the arousal is now there, and then you relax, because it's like, oh, now I got it. It feels like, and then the easy part, I can handle it. So when you get these sensations from whatever you're doing, either sports or music, art, craft, being with people, doing the LSP workshop, of course, it's a great moment to be in flow.
I recognize this.
Maybe just to close it, maybe when you get these moments, that's when true flow happens. When you went out of the box moment, you were worried a little bit, and then at one point you got better than expected results. So you stretch yourself. You didn't snap because the challenge was not too high. Yeah. And then you kind of master it, and it's like, oh, I've got it. And these are the true flow states.
Well, at least in the agile world, where I work a lot as well, outside the training that we do with LSP, I work as an agile coach and a Scrum Master. And there you see that this developer who is like having this challenge that is a little bit exciting, and he's working on it. He doesn't want to go to the other meetings. He wants to stay in this dopamine rush of achieving something, and that's where we all have to find somehow, hey, how is that working, and how do we keep that balance? And I think, yes, that is for us as facilitators. Well, that's for me my flow time. If I can get people there and that they feel like it, because that is for me still a challenge, and it works. So really good explanation.
Yeah, so getting people out of flow, I think in the LSP workshop, it's always a challenge when you say just a minute left and people are like, no, I just starting to build in the model. And then, of course, if you're not careful with your roadmap, then you're like, oh my God, then it's starting to prolong if you're not planning well. So it's a moment of frustration maybe for the for the facilitator. Yeah. But yeah, getting people out of this out of flow is sometimes really challenging. But then on the other hand, the devices that we use, the phones and smartwatches and stuff, they are very successful into kind of getting us out of flow. So there's the whole kind of notion of notifications constantly popping in your screens. These are quite flow killers then on the other hand.
Yeah, and on the other hand, is that not also a kind of a flow where see the young generations being not able to focus on what me as an old 50-year plus guy would say, focus on your work, and they're like, I cannot focus at all. But then again, I see them on a Saturday or during the week for hours and hours spending on a game or on their phone, and then it's no problem to stay focused.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're also part of flow in there.
It's a big debate. So gaming industry. So when you're mentioning games, that I would argue can be debatable. No? So there might be just the dopamine reward, or it can be, of course, if it's a high strategic game that you really need to invest a lot of mental activity. You need a lot of skill set to conquer a strategic, what they call MMORPG, for example. Yeah. There's a big complexity. you could say that there's a lot of flow present. But when you compare it to, for example, just scrolling YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, that's not really, there's no skill set is needed, and that's when you're doing an activity. So maybe the easiest way to differentiate just hype on dopamine versus the flow is how much skill set is needed to do the activity, and scrolling is just like zero skills.
So there is a difference
between, you just get these impressions like, oh my god, that's interesting, oh my god, that's so nice, but then as in gaming, if there is a big strategic plan behind, you know what you have to do, you need to know the opponents, you need to know, I don't know, the weapons, you need to know the system, what you need to develop, and there's a lot of knowledge behind, so then there's potentially much more flow present.
So there is a difference between like a dopamine junkie and flow.
Yeah, of course.
So this is like instant gratification without anything. Does this then also mean that there is a different rush afterwards? If I'm in the flow and I finish that part, is that a different rush than just the easy peasy trying to get to the bottom of Facebook?
So if we go to the neurochemicals of flow, it's brilliant. So the cocktail of neurochemicals that get flooded into our brains and our bodies is huge. So dopamine is one thing. So in flow, what is present, you start, if you remember the arousal anxiety part, you start with actually cortisol and norepinephrine or noradrenaline, which is focusing molecule. Then, as I said, when you get better than expected results, dopamine kicks in. So you're feeling well, you want to do more of it. It's motivational because dopamine is making you feel good, but also, or even more importantly, you want more of that activity. What then kicks in are the endorphins, which are the painkillers, they work like morphine. Anandamide kicks in, which is the bodily produced THC. So it allows lateral thinking. When you need to hold a lot of things in your head, let's say the workshop, you need to have the content, you need to have what people are doing, the timing, the materials. So you're overseeing a lot of things in parallel. So that's anandamide keeping you able to maneuver and to synthesize then something out of it. Then after we have now, so we are focused, we feel good, we don't feel any pain, we are able to lateral thinking, and then towards the end, when dopamine goes down, we get serotonin, which is satisfaction and pride. And so looking back, it's like, oh my god, what we achieved, and that's already towards out of flow. Out of the flow moment. So we get 5 the most potent neurochemicals in our body, and if I'm not mistaken, that's currently the only state where all of these chemicals are present at once in our body. So that's flow. That's why it's so strong. It is fire. So we have to give the notion of the fire. So playing with flow is playing with fire. If you overdo it, you can be hooked on flow. You can be addicted to a flow activity because it gives you such good sensations, and you need to balance it. It's not always just good. It can lead to workaholism. It can lead to detachment from maybe your family. It can lead to taking too higher risks, either physical or financial. If you're gambling with, for example, business, business can be a flow activity. But then reaching for that higher challenge all the time. At one point, you maybe are taking too big of risks, and you can jeopardize your existence. So but then on the other hand, so we have the fire here, so the strong fire and the complexity, and then it's the dopamine. I call it simplicity because what dopamine does is so sugar, coffee, nicotine, cocaine, gambling, pornography, scrolling on the algorithms, it's all kind of what they do. And so Andrew Huberman, he's maybe the one that explains it the better. But from if I simplify it, what you get is the dopamine kind of really high, really big kick, feel good, and I want more. I said, oh, this is so interesting. Just one more clip, just one more YouTube video. And I'm the same. I'm not.
You're also human.
I'm also human. So what it does, it makes you feel good, but then afterwards you get even lower levels. So when you start with the baseline and then you get the kick, then after that you get depleted of dopamine, and that's the reason why you again because you want this baseline to go up, and it cannot go up with these spikes. These spikes only make you feel.
You cannot stay also there. You have to.
Yeah, you cannot
go
stay
to balance.
You cannot stay up. You want to because it's so pleasant, but it's a really tricky thing. And I think today's society is really successful into providing us the opportunity, irresistible opportunities, to say yes to the dopamine hit. It's with the devices, it's with food, it's with
so many things,
entertainment as well. So it's so many things that is currently making you up.
There's a very big group, including myself, that is very addicted to dopamine.
No, it is. So dopamine is good, but overdoing it, you have to be careful.
So that sounds like also a warning for us as Lego facilitation, Lego Series Play facilitators, that as if you get people into a flow of Lego Series Play, there is a chance that you burn the candle on two sides, that it burns too fast. What kind of advice would you give to us as facilitators? Like, how do we have to deal with that? What is something that we have to think on forehand or afterwards, or what do we have to think of when we do a workshop and when we try to sell it?
So the one thing, so flow on the outside looks effortless and like easy, but then on the inside is very energy demanding. So after flow, and also if you're facilitating a full day workshop, so after the workshop, you see the participants, they're drained. So are we. It's the same thing. So what is the advice is not to put too many things on a one day workshop. I know that's tempting, and we are tempted to promise a lot of added value and a lot of tick marks do. So don't push too much.
No.
In one day workshop. So don't subsidize tasks with breaks and lunch and stuff like that. So because people need coffee to start with, people need a break, so they need to get they will be hooked in the workshop, but they need their bio breaks and they need their sugar, and liquids, so hydration in between. They need a big portion for lunch. It's like eating something fast. It's not so good, and that's the advice I'm using from Johannes, our friend Johannes from Germany. He said that the last break that he has after lunch, so there is one break till the end, he makes sure that's a lot of sugar there to get people the last kick of energy, so they can
drain the last energy out also.
So not drain the last energy, but kind of to give them some support so that their energy lasts sufficiently till the end. To get some either fruits, some sweet drinks, either some like cookies, stuff like that.
So in the morning it would be also advisory to have this long sugars, like nuts and banana. Banana, I think, is a short sugar again.
Short sugar.
You can make like a diet prescription that in the morning would be. That's interesting. For me, indeed, what I do as facilitator also, and what I also try to explain to all new facilitators, take a longer break than that you would expect, and make sure there is also something different as well to stop the firing of the neurons in their brain, that you really make a difference in it. And for me, this is also in my 24-hour workshop that I do a lot. That starts at 12:30, just after lunch, until more or less 9ish in the evening, and then we have a campfire outside, and then the next morning we do again until 12:30, just before lunch. It has like a longer breaks in between, as you said as well, and also some sleep. What I see is really good for reprocessing in the brain.
Yeah, the quality of sleep is very important. So the workshop that you're doing, I guess, well, then if it's such an intense period, then also, standing up, walking out, making sure there's enough oxygen in the room. So these are small details which sometimes seem trivial, but I figure out it's very important to make sure people stand up, maybe go outside, have the fresh air. And if you're doing the campfire, so what can happen is you can jeopardize the good sleep, with some campfire activities. It's a longer chat. Maybe you get a drink or two or three. I'm not sure. So, but I would.
Me too.
But it is impacting sleep. So good quality sleep is important. But for example, if you come to the workshop like this very rested, and then of course you can sacrifice one night of good sleep, but knowing that after these 24 hours, you need the recovery. So what is specific to flow, it happens in a cycle. We have the struggle phase. So it's the phase of anxiety where you need to build up your activity. It's a struggle phase where you need to invest some unpleasant activity to get new skill set available. Then is the release phase, which sometimes we use in the workshops as well. I used it a couple of times, not very often, but if, for example, a shared model doesn't go well, say, okay, let's leave it a little bit. Let's have a coffee. Let's go outside. Let's breathe a little bit, and then we'll come back and we'll look fresh, and then we'll maybe see a different perspective. So the release phase is the moment where you kind of let go of the struggle, when you let your subconscious take over, and then when you return, there's flow. So we know already flow, and then the fourth stage is the recovery, where you need to kind of actively and consciously get back all the energy that was depleted through the three stages of the cycle.
Yeah. In that point of view, it's almost top sport, right? It is this high sporters know, this true top athletes know that rest is maybe more important than the exercise.
Yeah. So in my work, I see two types of people. So there are ones that are maybe more not so active, and they need some push to start a struggle.
Yeah.
And the high performers, the sports people, they don't have troubles into going into the struggle and doing into the flow, but they have troubles plugging off or going offline, or really recharge themselves after the flow state. So what they're tempted to do is just, okay, I'm rested. Let's just go. Let's keep the action going. Let's just push. Let's grind, and then struggle and then flow. And it feels good, but then on the long run, it's not successful. It can lead to exhaustion, even burnout, even loss of interest. So
yeah. And it's something that we have to take care of as facilitators, because we're not only there for a good outcome, but also for a good process, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, awesome. What is more important for us as facilitators to remember when we do a workshop?
So now there's one thing related to, with regards to flow, so related to team flow, and I see a huge difference in participants who want to be on the workshop that you're doing, and participants who have to be on the workshop that they're attending.
True.
So for example, I do workshops when the team detects that they want to work on, communication, they want to work on the group dynamics, they want to work on higher productivity rates in there, or engagement or motivation. So if the team detects there's something missing, it's okay, Jaka will come, we're going to fix this. So they want to be there. I have a lot of situations where you have like a sponsor or an organizer, like maybe an HR, maybe it's their boss, maybe it's somebody says, okay, now we're going to have these nice activities with bricks. And in my case, it's, and I'm going to talk about flow. And so not nobody of it, but the majority of the team was not asked if that's something that they want, if that's something that they need. It's an activity together with maybe a strategic day or maybe an offsite day or a development day, and they are there because they kind of have to be there. And you see, in flow terms, that would fall into what Jeff van den Hout, he's the Dutch researcher doing the work on team flow. He says that in the core, in the foundation of team flow is the collective ambition. So if we translate this into flow language, so teams that have the collective ambition, so everybody is there because they want to arrive somewhere, they want to progress towards something, then the flow in the whole workshop is going to be much better than if they have to be there, which means they don't have the collective ambition is not there because there's no ambition. Maybe you said it before, LSP is so much more than just playing with bricks, but then a lot of people are just there. Yeah, we heard that we're going to play with bricks, and it's like,
let's go.
And then when the serious part of the play kicks in, and they kind of just at one point they just switch. And oh my God, now we're talking serious stuff. So it's really a nice transition and a fun part. But yeah, it's really important to kind of look for this collective ambition as facilitators when you're discussing with the sponsor or the organizers, like, okay, how these people are feeling. Is there urgency? No, I never encourage to push the workshop just to kind of have it and a new client, but it's like some people say we're not ready. I'm like, it's fine. It should mature. It should be the moment is going to come, and then we're going to have a much better workshop than if we just do it because we want to do it.
Yeah, I recognize that from my work as a Scrum Master or an Agile coach. I am with that team, and out of that retrospective, for example, comes this thing that they go like, we talked about 7 times on it, and it doesn't work. They're like highly engaged, and they okay, we use bricks, but they only want to get the solution. Bricks is almost side product. While at the same time, one of the big challenges I think in digital transformations is how to involve the business with the IT, because they tend to see, oh, let's ask IT and they will do it, and then they go back and they have no communication. Well, it has to become more like this. Then there is something, okay, we're going to do apparently something with bricks, and then I have to do as facilitator also something to get that urgency or to get that need or to get that this is where we want to work for. Burning. I always describe it as a little flame that I have to start entering before we have a campfire. You first need that first match. You need that small flame that starts to ignite the rest, and then sparks fly off and they touch you, and then something is gonna happen with your loved one where you lay on your blanket there in front of the campfire. No, different story, but also
Yeah, definitely. So if we look at exactly what you said from the team flow model from Jeff van den Hout, it's like the collective ambition, and there's also the integration of master skills. So IT and business people or marketing people. So different parts of fitting together, complementing each other in the whole story, and then getting the commitment from the people. That everybody knows what they want to do. So we have the collective ambition, then it's the goals, it's the communication needs to open, and then it's the psychological safety, mutual commitment. Everybody knows their own personal goals, and high skill integration. And when you get all this together, you get the 4 characteristics of flow, which is collective trust, collective progress, sense of unity, and one more thing.
I'm sure you're going to send it to me, what it was, right?
It's and the sense of progress. So joint sense of progress. So it's unity, progress, commitment, and safety. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and on a so natural way, it's all baked in Lego Serious Play, that it's all there. and so much more than that as well. It's for me, it is really amazing. What is something we need to know, otherwise we cannot sleep at peace tonight? What do we need to know from Jaka as a Lego Serious Play facilitator?
Wow, that's I'm used
hard
to
question. Sorry that I didn't tell you before.
hard question because it's a lot of things. Because I'm not the person who has the 3 go-to things. So because flow is very specific and very complex and very not unique to every individual. So on the one hand is what I also do with LSP is getting people to figure out their own flow, so their own reflection on what it is for them. And LSP really does brilliant work into bringing out that people at one point say, I love working with Excel. I never thought I would make this model, but it's actually me doing in Excel. And that's my flow. I love working in Excel with numbers. And of course, it's a brilliant flow state. Yeah. So this is something that is important to know, that flow is specific to every individual. So everybody needs to kind of ask him or herself, okay, what is flow for me? What is not? And then what is flow for somebody else? It's perfectly fine. So no flows are better than other flows. Wow. I come from let's say action and adventure sports, where I used to think, I'll be honest, I used to think I'm a super, like, this cool guy doing snowboarding and kite surfing and I don't know what else. But now I know we have a colleague in LSP who she's knitting for flow. Yeah. And I have participants in workshops that they're gardening in flow or reading in flow. So it's a lot of people that do activities where they get totally immersed and they enjoy it as much as, for example, I with a high intensity sport outdoors somewhere. Yeah. So it's really important to know that we are different in flow. So what is flow for me might not be flow for you. Maybe, of course, we are both in flow as facilitators, but then as we go into our leisure time, we are maybe completely different. Maybe, we have runners in LSP, the Christiansens, the runners. Unbelievable, yeah. So I connect with them on that topic, but maybe something else, we're completely different. And it's okay. It's so relieving to just say, it's brilliant. As long as one finds their way to flow, it's super great. So
it's like LSP, that it's so much more than just only flow.
Yeah. So that's one thing definitely that I want that people should remember. So don't try to copy, that's his flow, then maybe it's also mine. So go into your own, do it with bricks. You can, of course, do your reflection with bricks.
Yeah, so, and maybe also not put like a label on top of it and like, wow, this is flow. Apparently, there's a label on top. This could be flow as well, or the one with the little pen in his hand, or just a hat. It could be all flow. Awesome. Yeah.
So that's one thing. The other thing is that the true flow states that are most memorable, they need this extra push. So as I said, it's when you get the first a little bit of an arousal, and then at one point it's like better than expected results, where you stretched yourself, you didn't snap, and everything worked out well, and it's just like, I want more of this. So this is something we want. The third thing is respecting the flow cycle. I think that's one of in my work, it's one of the most insightful things, realizing that flow state is a cycle. So it starts with the struggle. There's a lot of potential in release. Okay, we get into flow, we know now flow, but then it's also recovery. And so getting your balance into the effective struggle. So there are ways to get struggle more effective. And then you use, for example, flow triggers to this flow, but then of course, getting your active recovery protocol, as we call it, so to get your recovery in balance. So don't skip it, either for yourself or your participants, with regards to giving them too much load at once or in a very short period of time.
Yeah. So this is what we often see as a flow chart in trainings. Also in my e-learning, this is it. And actually what you say, Martijn, it is also a circle. It's something that starts somewhere, and it's okay also to stop and not only go up and 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 on and on and on. It's a circle of life. Could you share maybe, as in the extras at the end of this video, some reading tips for us? Like some of the books you said I've seen, some of them I try to read, but they're also very specific and very deepening. And I think when you want to get more in touch with this, you have to somehow start also maybe with the flow. You have to start with a challenge that you can, and instead of that you get this book that is like, and you drop it down. Could you give us and our listeners some reading tips, and so we can make a list for them as well to read maybe?
So the foundational work on flow was done by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. Let Google finish writing Csikszentmihalyi, because I still cannot do it. It's too complicated. So his book from I think 91, Flow, is the foundational work, but it's a kind of rather demanding psychological book. So
it is.
It's but his language, I think, is quite, if you're to some degree prone to psychology, it's going to be fine. Then is a Flow in Everyday Life, also from Csikszentmihalyi. It's a little book. It's quite a nice, cute little book, getting a really nice message on how to navigate in the challenge and skill graph that you just saw, if you're in anxiety or if you're in boredom, because the idea in this graph is that you zigzag from one part to another. You cannot only be in flow in the middle, in the channel, but you need to zigzag. So you need to get a little bit of an anxiety arousal thing, but then of course also the boring part, which is also okay. You need to breathe in. Is the recovery happens there.
Yeah.
So that's the second book. Then at the moment, Steven Kotler is considered as the biggest expert on flow, and he has multiple books. And at the moment, I would advise you to start with The Art of Impossible.
Impossible, yeah.
So Steven Kotler, The Art of Impossible, it's a handbook. So it's quite if flow from Csikszentmihalyi is psychological and get you a deeper understanding of the psychology of flow, the Art of Impossible is a handbook that will also explain a lot about the psychology, a lot about the neurobiology, but then also the tools, the cycle, the triggers are there that guide you on what you could do. There's also Stealing Fire, and people who are more into action and adventure sports, is The Rise of Superman, is the early book from Steven Kotler on flow. Stealing Fire is co-written with Jamie Will. There's a wider notion on other altered states of consciousness, which is also meditation or prayer. And there's some part on using other substances to get your state of consciousness altered. So that's also important, interesting, yeah. But if you prefer some short notions on flow, there's Rian Doris, who's also the co-founder of the Flow Research Collective. So when you say that I'm FRC certified flow coach, means Flow Research Collective, which is currently the organization that I think invests the most into understanding the neurobiology of flow, and it's a lot of knowledge. They have the podcast, but their podcast is quite heavy. It's because it's Steven Kotler hosting them, and he's quite a nerd. He's getting a big nerd on the topic, so you need some prior knowledge to get the most out of these podcasts.
Jake, thank you so much. You give us so much insight. You give us so much new things to think about. I really want to have you one more time back in our podcast to at least tell us about the flow circle. But that's a whole new podcast as well. For now, I really want to thank you, because I'm listening to you and I get goosebumps of happiness. You give me so much new valuable information. Thank you so much and have an awesome weekend.
So thank you, Martijn, for joining, not joining, for hosting me. It's been, for me, sometimes people say to me, when I explain, no, this is flow, and then when I explain it, my flow is also talking about flow. Maybe it was obvious, but people say, so Jaka, that's you now, what you're just doing now. So that's flow. Yeah, that it is.
That it is.
Yeah. So time flew by for me as well.
45 minutes went fast, right?
I think it's 15 minutes, isn't it? I'm still not sure how we came so quickly at the end. So thank you so much. Thank you everybody for listening. Hope something was interesting. Martijn will I think link me somewhere. You can find me on LinkedIn, and if you have some questions, I'm always very happy to help you answer, guide you, whatever. So